What's up, Leafs fans? Welcome back to Leafs Digest. Well, I got to be honest here, the entire reasoning behind this video, the thing that it made me think about this, it was completely off the cuff. I was sitting here listening to something earlier today, and I was hearing them talk about stuff. I started hearing interviews in the news, and one of the most famous clips out there right now, or popular clips, I guess I should say, is Leon Draisaitl getting in a bit of a fight with a media personality during today's, what even was that? Press conference, media availability, whatever you want to call it. Leon Draisaitl got a little testy with a reporter, and I kind of feel like you know where I'm going with this one at this point, Goody. So for anyone who's tuning in, you obviously saw the title, and it says Kyle Dubas' best signing ever. Now you're wondering, who is this guy? Who is this player? Is there a new guy? No, there is not, but Josh and I are going to debate. We are going to break down who we think might be Kyle Dubas' best signing to this point, and this one guy is sticking out for one reason. Michael Bunting sticks out in my head, and it's because not only how well he's performed this year, but how well he is performing in comparison to the one man that Kyle Dubas did not sign and did not bring back for this season in Zack Hyman. Michael Bunting, to this point in time, he has played 4 more games than Zack Hyman has, but he has more points than Zack Hyman, and at a $950,000 AAV for this year and next year, it just started screaming to me, this might be the best signing Kyle Dubas has ever made as the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
It's got to be up there. It really does. And all things considered, we had big shoes to fill. He comes in and from day one has just not just the stats, but the attitude, man. He's a contagious player when he's out there playing with hustle and heart. We love Michael Bunting. And for a long time now, we've been saying, out of all the guys he could have handpicked in free agency this year, that is the best player to fill Zack Hyman's void that he left on the team. So I agree with you that he's right up there with the signings. But the 3 names that jump out to me, of course, Bunting, but then also TJ Brody as well as Jason Spezza. And Jason Spezza is someone that we haven't shut up about, especially since last playoffs. I mean, anytime this team gets low, the consistent high guy to go and boost morale and fight back is always Jason Spezza. And he's on a cheap contract, probably about the same rate AAV as Bunting, no?
I think cheaper, actually. Let me pull this up really quick here. No. 750,000 AAV, Jason Spezza's deal right now.
This guy is playing for free.
Yeah, so at this point, Kyle Dubas has put together a number of good signings, and there's one guy who you actually didn't mention in that list, and that would be Ondrej Kase. He's another guy that I think slides in there.
Yeah. You know what? I think the only difference, though, is Kase, even though we didn't get a ton of money, when you look at Spezza as well as Bunting, it's just like those contracts compared to what we got out of them, it makes the whole situation look so good. So Kase, I think you could look at as like, you know, a 3rd or 4th best signing just because we actually gave him realistic money. But when you look at, and same can be said with Brody, but I feel like it comes down between Bunting and Spezza right now. And I think that what makes the Bunting situation really, really great for the Leafs, and I know I just said it already, but we were wondering, how are we going to fill that void on the first line? Who's going to go into the top 6 on the left wing and play where Zack Hyman would have been? It was a huge question, and it made us almost pay Zack Hyman $7.5 million in the offseason. It was really worth considering. With Michael Bunting here, it's like, I'm thrilled that we ended up letting Hyman walk. And for a while, I think everyone was second guessing it after seeing Zack Hyman play so good with the Oilers. And it's like, man, he is a top line guy. He really is. But so is Michael Bunting. So I don't know. I'm pretty torn here. But part of me is, man, I got to go with Jason Spezza because he's proven himself in the playoffs and not many Leafs have.
Yeah, that's fair. I think Michael Bunting kind of hasn't gotten the chance yet. Obviously, this is his first season, so we haven't even gotten him to that point to prove it. I do think he is the type of guy that excels, the type of guy that you do need in the playoffs. So from that grit, that Energizer Bunny type standpoint, I think he checks all of those boxes. It's yet to be tested here in Toronto. But another thing that I just looked up and I just wanted to point out is Zack Hyman signing in Edmonton for $5.5 million AAV. Ondrej Kase and Michael Bunting combined $2.1 million AAV between the two of them, and they have put up 40 combined points this season compared to Zach Hyman's $5.5 million, where he's got 21 points with the Oilers. And I understand, yes, you're looking between two guys there to breaking down that situation. But when you look at what he was replacing and how he was replacing it, he replaced Zach Hyman by committee. He's achieved that number of points. He's added depth to this team, and he's done it on incredible value.
He's also a little rattier too, which I like. I mean, we don't need to get distracted and take away from like, winning the hockey game, but I do like Michael Bunting mixing it up and drawing as many penalties as he does. So that's something that Hyman could do, but I think Bunting even has excelled at a little bit better. And I also need to comment here, after you've read out the statistics there, I just got every contract that came out of my mouth incorrect. So I said 7.5 million for Hyman. It was 5.5. And then how much were we paying Kasha? Because you gave me the combined rate, but individually, how much did Kasha get? Like 1.1?
1.25. 1.25.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no, that is a value deal now compared to his play as well. So yeah, it is a really tight race to think about who is Dubas's best signing. Man, I kind of side with Spezza though. And it's just a benefit of the doubt because he's been in the playoffs and he's been great already there for us. And the veteran presence is really what this team needs. Like Jason Spezza is like the gentleman in the room to step up, tell the guys, okay, when you're in this situation, you do this. You give money to the AHLers to help them out during the COVID situation. You know what to step up and going into the third period of a playoff hockey game. Jason Spezza does a lot more than what shows up on the stat sheet. And I think Michael Bunting does too. But until I see him in the playoffs, I got to give the edge to Jason Spezza as the best signing.
I don't know. I'm a little bit, it's hard, right, Beat? Because each of these guys adds value in a completely different way. TJ Brodie is the mobile, puck moving, just incredible defenseman that we've so longed, and we got him at $5 million AAV. Like, that's a very, very good contract considering what he contributes to this team. Obviously, he doesn't do it with points. The guy's got 2 goals this year. He scored 1 last year. Or 3 goals this year. Sorry, I can't. I shouldn't diminish TJ Brodie's offensive production here in Toronto. But for $5 million AAV, like it's an incredible number. He was a younger guy, and you think about that in contrast to Jake Muzzin and what we signed Jake Muzzin for, and how old Jake Muzzin was, and how that's kind of panning out. You can look at the two in comparison and say, yeah, Brodie's is significantly better than what Muzzin was able to provide us there. But I think above all for me, it's just still Bunting, because you're looking at this offseason in terms of how drastic it was losing Zach Hyman, how much of a panic everybody was in going, oh my God, what do we do? How do we replace this guy? And then all of a sudden you're sitting there listening on Free Agent Frenzy, Michael Bunting to the Leafs. Michael Bunting could go to the Leafs. And I'm wondering, who the hell is Michael Bunting? I never heard of this guy. I'm having to do Google searches, watching highlight tapes on YouTube, looking at this guy play at the World Championships, trying to figure out who Michael Bunting is. Next thing you know, he's signed to the team for 2 years, $950K, and the speculation is he's going to be Austin Matthews' winger. And we're going through these crazy progressions of, I never heard of you before, to you're our star player's left winger, and here we are 36 games into the season, and he completely fits. 23 points, 8 goals, 15 assists. You can tell Matthews has a blast playing with him. He stirs it up. He gets in scrums. He contributes offensively. He has brought everything and more, and Dubas got him for what everyone in the media is saying is cheaper than what he was getting being offered on the market, and we got him for 2 years.
Yeah, no, it's a tough case to argue, and like I said, I argue it based on an omission of playoff evidence to support him, and that's just simply because he's a rookie. This is his first year with the Leafs, right? It's not a fair knock, but I just can't confidently say that he's more valuable to this team than Jason Spezza at the moment, because Spezza's been there in the playoffs with this group. He showed that he is the leader. He might not get the most ice times, but he's got the most respect. And there's something about Jason Spezza's game that's still so intact, and they call him vintage because he can still whip out the clap bomb. He can still go shelf. He's still skilled, man.
Yeah, he is.
I don't know. I think in a couple months from now, I'll be closer to agreeing, but it's already a super tight race. I got to bring up one more name here. I think we're on the same page. We definitely are, but I know there's some people out there that would maybe argue this, that to this day, John Tavares might be his best signing. And I know the contract's crazy AAV wise, but if you don't have Johnny T on this roster, you have a crazy void up the middle. Like, I know you're overpaying, but is that still like such a crucial void to fill? Your second line center to back up Austin Matthews, and all he does defensively and as a leader, right? He's your captain. Is there still a case to say that JT actually might be the most impactful signing we've had? I don't think so, but I just, I'm sure some people are going to comment it, bring it up. What do you think?
No, it's a good question. I think part of the problem is that in the grand scheme of things, it's one of those contracts that a lot of people still look at in hindsight and say it wasn't necessary. And the one reason that it almost looks okay, here's why I think it might not be. It's a very, very good signing. I do think so. I do think whenever you have the opportunity to bring a guy back home to Toronto who's from here, it's a good opportunity. We've seen it pay off with different guys. Jason Spezza,
Nick Ritchie.
yeah, okay. Let's just let's mark that one off the list. Michael Bunting is from here. Zack was from here. He played very well. I mean, Dermott isn't the best player, but he's from here. Like, certain guys have worked out from here. It's been good experiments when that happens. And then the other part is he's a superstar in the league. Whether you like it or not, he is a superstar in the league. He was being highly chased after by many other teams. When you get that opportunity, you take it. He's a number one centerman. That's plain and simple. He is. You take that opportunity. But before you say anything, where I'm going with it is, in contrast, where it starts to look even a little bit more of, and where it almost goes in my head is, when you have the MVP conversation and you say, where would this team be without such and such? Or what would it be without that? You know who we wouldn't have gotten rid of if we never signed John Tavares? Is Nazem Kadri.
Yeah.
And he's fourth in NHL scoring right now. And it's very easy to look at it and say, like, it's the ifs and buts and candy and nuts statement right there, because who's to say that he has this season if he stays in Toronto? But it is something he's doing right now, and you look at it and go, okay, that could have happened here, maybe.
Hell of a lot cheaper too, and your cap press team. Phil, I mean, like, you're referencing sort of what do they call it, the butterfly effect or whatever, just a chain of events leading to a totally fundamentally different future.
Yeah.
If you do, if you didn't end up signing Tavares, you're right. I don't think you take a chance going for Tyson Barrie, and that was a reasonable chance to take, in my opinion. I know it didn't work out. There's always a loser of a trade. Very rarely is it even, and I think that I still respect Kyle Dubas for trying to make a move to bolster our blue line. I understand it. But you're right. I think maybe, you know what, I'm just going to say it. There is a chance that actually not trading him might have worked out better for our team there in the long run. But who knows? I think that Johnny T is, whether or not you like it, a superstar in the league, as you're saying. And we got him on a slight discount in free agency. So that's huge. He's from the city. I totally agree. I do agree with you. It's just one of those ones I know people are going to bring up, and especially from a leadership standpoint. So I thought we had to give a take on it. But the Bunting cases you've made, I mean, the stats kind of make the case themselves. He is really good. More points than Zack right now. That's crazy. And a former Leaf, he kind of reminds me of a little bit. Not stylistically necessarily. You know what? A little bit. Just in terms of impact and role. He's kind of reminds me of Andreas Janssen. You can throw him anywhere in the lineup. He'll be productive. He can explode for a bunch of points. He can also play physical. And he's a value contract, or at least he was. So I don't know. He kind of reminds me of that. And Michael Bunting came in right at the right time for the Leafs, who had to fill in those left wing spots. Man, it is a tight debate, and I hope everyone in the comments gives us an idea what they think.
Yeah, well, let us know below in the comments who you think the best signing Kyle Dubas has ever made is at this point. I think that there's no really right answer. There's probably some wrong answers, and if you want to drop those wrong answers in the comments below, feel free to do that as well. We're happy to see all of them fill in there, and while you're at it, while you like and comment on this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But Goody, definitively, okay, let's say it between those four guys that we listed there, because I feel like they're probably at the top of this list. And let's exclude Morgan Riley's contract for what he signed for, because he is a returning guy. He's a guy that's been here. 1 through 4, who is the best signings? Rate the 4 of Bunting, Spezza, Brody, Kasha.
I gotta go with number 1, Spezza. Number 2, I'm gonna go with number 2, Bunting, number 3, Brody, number 4, Kasha. But like, man, after that number 1, it's so interchangeable, man. You can make some arguments everywhere here because the Leafs really needed a guy like TJ Brody. And I mean, he embodies everything that we lacked at one point.
Yeah.
This is a tight one, man. I gotta stand firm with that. And before you give yours, actually, you know what? Give yours and I'll make a point after. But we could end up having a little bit of a tighter race come playoff time.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're completely right. And I think that you hit it right on the head when you said that like each of these guys kind of they checked a box we were missing. Right?
Yeah.
Like when you think about Spezza, we were missing the veteran leadership. We were missing that guy who could speak up. He's been there. He's been around the league, but he can still play. Because we tried it with Jumbo Joe, we tried it with Patrick Marleau, and they just couldn't keep up. Whereas Jason Spezza, man, the guy's still putting up points. He's still contributing to the offense, and he's not bringing anything down. Then you look at TJ Brody. We didn't have a defenseman who was that good of a skater and that good defensively. I mean, Morgan Rielly is an incredible skater, but he was lacking the defensive ability. You put him with Rielly, and it counterbalances perfectly because getting Tyson Barrie was the complete overcompensation of what we needed. We went, oh my God, we got Jake Muzzin, shut down defenseman. We got Morgan Rielly. He's a kind of a tweener. He's more offensive than defensive, but he's got some of that. And we went Tyson Barrie, slap him in there. All he does is play offense. And it was like, wait a minute, this doesn't work. And we went TJ Brody. The guy's got 3 goals this season. And it's like he's 1 away from a career high almost. And it's the perfect fit. And then the other end is Kasha in terms of the energy, and he's a cheaper guy who can fit into the depth. He can play up and down the lineup. He can kill penalties. He can play the power play. It's like, oh my God, this guy is perfect, and 1.25 mil. And then obviously, as we've just gone on and on about Bunting, everything that he brings to the table. Long answer, short, but still long. I'm going to go Bunting, Brody.
I knew you were going to say Brody there.
Spezza, Kasha.
Yeah. No, I think you could make a big time case for that. And it sucks putting Kasha last. Like, guys, I promise you, Zach and I are not undervaluing Andre Kasha here.
No,
like, he could maybe jump up to second on that list reasonably for some people, but he's just a guy that I think takes you over the top. You know what I mean? The other guys in this list helped us survive. We had to get a defensive defenseman. We got TJ Brody. We had to get someone to fill Zach Hyman's shoes. We ended up getting Michael Bunting. I feel like when you look over at Kasha, it's like he just gives you a little bit extra to be a great team. And Spezza, we needed a veteran presence, as you're saying. Yeah. It's like Kasha didn't give us anything we desperately needed, but he helped a team that had addressed needs go a bit above and beyond. But I mean, some people could go ahead and argue something else. I mean, that's just the way I see the situation. But I definitely don't want to be interpreted as slandering Andre Kasha here because he was a huge signing. I mean, Kyle Dubas has been on his game. I hate how much slander he gets.
He does deserve some more respect for it. And the other part is, like, as you're saying too, I just want to reiterate is we're not saying Kasha is the worst signing. Like, we're just putting him at number 4 of the best signings. Like, we're putting these as the top signings this guy has made, and he's just sitting at a number 4, and it's a close 4. Like, I had to genuinely consider where I would slot these guys in at. But yeah, I've been pretty happy with it. There's obviously some swings and misses. It's not hard to look very far and go, oh, Nick Ritchie, the guy that's on the taxi squad, also / in protocol right now. Yeah, that's a miss. Like, that cost us some money, and he's buried in the minors. It's a miss. It happens, though.
It is a miss right now. But, you know, I saw this hot take today. I think I'll give credit to Leafs Legacy for posting this. It was like fan hot takes, but I saw them post one that said Nick Ritchie and Peter Mrazek will become essential pieces come playoff time. And just something in my brain like tweaked a little bit. I was like, maybe actually, because we talked about how Ritchie might be able to step up come playoff time just because he's physical. I've lost a little bit of hope in that. I won't lie. I mean, he seems like a liability a lot of times on the ice, but
yeah,
you know, let's say like God forbid, knock on wood, someone gets hurt, Ritchie has to play. I could see him going out there and having like a really good series. Maybe it wouldn't last the whole playoffs, but maybe he does help you in a really tight game, get a goal you need. Something about it. I think he would be more appreciated in playoff hockey, and that's a big time speculation. And think about Peter Mrazek, right? He's your second best goalie. He could come into play big time, and we know how goalies get. It's really hot and cold. There could be a world where we look at those two guys as maybe like the second and third best signings if something crazy happens in playoffs, and that's completely unlikely. But I saw that hot take, and it resonated with me, man. I think there's a chance that we could look at those signings a little bit better come playoff time.
I think Richie, because of depth, could potentially become more valuable. Where I don't see the Mrazek panning out in the playoffs, but I think it could. Actually, you know what? I don't know what the right way to kind of go about it is, but maybe it's like directly, he's the best thing that happens for the playoffs. And here's why. The Toronto Maple Leafs have had a significant number of games postponed, and over the last half of the season, think about it, we're in January, and we haven't even hit the 41 game mark. We haven't even hit halfway.
That's crazy to think.
We're about to have to jam 46 games into the end of this season here to wrap this whole thing up before going into playoffs. Jack Campbell has experienced a workload that he has not yet experienced in his career, and he's on pace to experience significantly more than he's ever played. Now more than ever is the time Peter Mrazek proves his value of his 3.8 by 3. And the reason I say it could pay off in the playoffs is because if Peter Mrazek can continue what he's doing, or, I mean, not continue what he's doing, but elevate what he's doing and continue what Jack Campbell is doing is kind of where I was going, and help this team continue being the team that they are and winning games and having success, you can take the load off of Jack Campbell and keep him healthy, keep him fresh for the playoffs. That is where I see Peter Mrazek's greatest value being come playoff time.
Exactly. And the unfortunate thing is, you make a great point about having a loaded up second half of the schedule right now. That is really going to be a key role in relying on your depth at the goaltender spot. But it's unfortunate because I see these guys making big impacts if something bad happens. And we don't want that to happen. But I'm just saying, I think playoff times, these are some signings that, largely you're probably still going to look at as a failure, but you're going to remember a series where they really helped us out and all of a sudden, became worth it in some way. And I think what you're saying about the second half of the regular season, like that won't really be Richie's spot very much, but definitely Peter Mrazek will have an opportunity to come in and win back over some Leafs fans.
Yeah, I completely agree with it. We'll see what happens over the last half of the season. There's still a lot of hockey to be played. There's still a lot of proving certain guys have to do of where their spots are in this roster, how they fit in here, and what kind of value they can bring to the team on a consistent night-to-night basis. So Leafs fans, thank you guys for tuning in. Fans of hockey, if you guys were watching this to see what we had to say, what we're going to ramble on about the best signing Kyle Dubas has ever made, thank you guys for tuning in. Let us know below who you think the best, and honestly, let us know who you think the worst signings are that Kyle Dubas has ever made. Drop them in the comment section below. Like this video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are still on the road to 2,000 subscribers, so every single subscriber, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you guys very soon. We got a game tomorrow night against the New York Rangers, 7:30 p.m. in New York. We will see you guys then. Keep believing.
Signing off.